Hello, I am Manan and I am going to read Chapter 1, Crop Production and Management. All organisms need food for their growth and survival. We get our food from both plants and animals. Food is required for the growth, maintenance and protection of the body. It is also needed for the repair of damaged tissues. Plants can make their own food, but animals, including humans, are dependent on plants for their food. Tremendous increase in human population has increased the demand of food production and need for better agricultural activities. Agricultural practices. In ancient times, man roamed from one place to another and lived on whatever was available in the form of raw fruits or vegetables and by hunting of animals. With time, he started growing crops and domesticating animals. Gradually, he developed tools and tried different practices for better crop production. This led to the evolution of agriculture and different agricultural practices. Agriculture is the science or practice of farming, including cultivation of the soil to growing of crops. Crops. Crops are plants of the same kind grown and cultivated at one place over a large area. There are various types of crops like wheat, corn, bajra, fruits and vegetable crops. These crops, which are used as food for humans, are called food crops. Kharif and Rabi crops. Different crops are grown well in different seasons as they need different climatic conditions as temperature, humidity, rainfall and duration of sunlight. On the basis of seasons in which the crops are grown, they are they are of two types. First, Kharif and second, Rabi. Types of crops. Kharif crops. They are grown in the rainy season, generally from the month of June to September. Examples: paddy, maize, soybean, cotton, etc. Rabi crops. They are grown in the winter season, generally from the month of October to March. Examples: wheat, gram, pea, mustard, etc. Basic practices of crop production. Cultivation of crop is not just sowing of seeds and cutting the harvest. It involves a number of activities. Main agricultural activities carried out by a farmer to get a good crop are given below. First, preparation of soil. Second, sowing. Third, adding manure and fertilizers. Fourth, irrigation. Fifth, protection from weeds. Sixth, harvesting. And seventh, storage. Summer crops. There are some pulses and vegetable crops which are grown in the summer season from April to June in some regions. Preparation of soil. Crops normally grow only in the top layer of soil, so it is very important to make the topsoil rich in nutrients, loose and porous enough for roots to spread and breathe. Steps involved in preparation of soil before sowing the seeds are loosening of soil, breaking of soil crumbs, leveling of soil, and watering the soil. First step in preparing the soil is to loosen it by turning the soil. The turning and loosening of soil brings the lower layer of soil on the surface. Loosening and turning of soil is called tilling or plowing. It is done with the help of a wooden or an iron plow. After plowing, big pieces of soil called soil crumbs are broken into very small pieces by using a plank. The plowed soil is then leveled or made even with the help of a leveler. In some soils, manure needs to be added to make them nutrient rich. This is done before tilling so that during plowing, manure gets properly mixed with the soil. After leveling, the soil is watered and then the seeds are sown. Loosening of soil helps the plants in many ways, like it allows roots to breathe and helps in better exchange of gases. It allows the roots to go deeper into the soil. It helps the growth of earthworms and microorganisms present in the soil. Earthworms are called friends of farmers because they make burrows in the soil. They turn and loosen the soil. They also add humus by adding their waste into the soil. It helps in bringing the nutrient-rich soil from the upper layers to the top. It helps in uprooting of weeds, undesired plants in the soil. Agricultural implements. The tilling or plowing of soil is done by various tools known as agricultural implements. Some tools used are plow, hoe, and cultivator. First, plow. Plow is an agricultural implement used by farmers for tilling the soil. It is made of wood and is drawn by a pair of bulls or other animals like camels, horses, etc. Traditionally, a wooden plow is used. The wooden plow has a long log of wood called plow shaft. One end of this shaft is attached to a piece that has a handle on one side and a triangular iron strip called plowshare at the other. The other end of the plow shaft is attached to a beam kept on the neck of animals. When a plow is pulled by the bulls, the farmer holds the handle of the plow in a way that the plowshare digs into the field, tilling or loosening the soil. The traditional wooden plow is now being replaced by an iron plow. Second, hoe. Hoe is also an agricultural implement used for loosening of soil and removing of weeds. It also has a long rod of wood or iron, like a plow. A hoe also has a handle for the farmer to hold it, and the other end has a strong bent plate of iron that acts like a blade. It can be of various shapes. It can be pulled by a farmer or the animals. As the hoe is moved forward, the iron blade digs into the soil, tilling and loosening the soil. Cultivator. To save time and plow a large area of field. Nowadays, a tractor-driven implement called cultivator is used. It saves labor and is far more efficient than a traditional plow. 1.5. Sowing. Sowing the seeds means putting the seeds in the soil for cultivation. Not all seeds could give a good crop, so it is very important to choose good quality of seeds to get a high yield. The seed chosen should be clean, healthy, and free from diseases. A very simple method of checking healthy seeds is by putting them in the water. The seeds that sink in water are healthy, while the ones that float are damaged. This is because the damaged seed become hollow and lighter and hence float in water. Before sowing the seeds, it is also important to know the requirement of the seeds. Some seeds need more light and water than others. For example, paddy seeds need more water and are so sown in standing water. Tools used for sowing the seeds. Seeds can be sown by traditional tools or advanced seed drills. Adding manure and fertilizers. Adding nutrients to the soil means increasing the fertility of soil. It can be done by adding manure, adding fertilizers, or crop rotation. First, adding manure. Manure is an organic substance obtained by decomposition of vegetable and animal waste through the action of microorganisms. Normally, a large amount of manure is added because it contains nutrients in very small amounts. Manures can be prepared by various means and so are of different types as given below. Farmyard manure, prepared from cattle dung and farm waste. Compost, prepared from plants and animal waste. Vermicompost, prepared from plants and animal waste, but worms are used for decomposition. Green manures, quickly growing green crops are cultivated and plowed back into the soil. Advantages of manure. They add nutrients to the soil and increase its fertility. They add organic matter to the soil, which improves the texture of the soil. They increase the water holding capacity of soil. They make the soil porous which helps in better exchange of the gases of the roots. Manure also increases the number of friendly bacteria in the soil. Fertilizers. Fertilizers are chemical substances which are commercially produced in the factories. They are rich in one or few selected nutrients. When added to the soil, fertilizers increase the nutrient value of the soil. Examples of fertilizers: urea, ammonium sulfate, superphosphate, potash, NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Advantages of fertilizers: they are required in very small quantities. They are easy to transport and store in bags. They are nutrient specific and can be added as according to the specific deficiency in the soil and crop requirement. They increase the crop productivity. Farmers use fertilizers to get better yield of wheat, maize, and paddy. Harmful effects of fertilizers. Though fertilizers help in increasing crop productivity, fertilizers should be used very carefully as they have some harmful effects. First, they often get washed out of the soil during irrigation and rainfall and reach water bodies, polluting the water. This water is very harmful for aquatic plants and animals and it becomes not fit for drinking. Being powdery, they do not bind with the soil. When used for a long period, they change the structure of the soil. Crop rotation. When only one type of crop is grown in the same field, the yield decreases due to depletion of soil. To overcome this, the different types of crops are grown in the same field in a way that they replenish the nutrients in the soil. Crop rotation is one of the oldest and most effective way to add nitrogen to the soil. Crop rotation. In crop rotation, a legume or pulse crop is grown between two cereal crops. This restores the fertility of the soil. Cereal crops like wheat, maize, rice use nitrogen nutrient from the soil and make it deficient in soil. Legume crops have nitrogenous bacteria called rhizobium bacteria in their root nodules, which can fix nitrogen from the atmosphere and hence add nitrogen to the soil. An example of crop rotation is wheat, legume, pea, maize, legume pulse. Irrigation. Water is essential for all crops. Different crops require different amounts of water at various stages of growth and ripening. The supply of water of crops at different intervals is called irrigation. The time and frequency of irrigation differs depending on the crop, soil, and season. During summers, the water evaporates faster and so the transpiration rates of crops can be very high. Therefore, the frequency of irrigation is generally higher in summers than in winters. Sources of irrigation. There can be a number of water sources from where water is drawn for irrigation. Some of the commonly used sources are wells, tube wells, ponds, lakes, rivers, dams, and canals. Some traditional methods of irrigation. Some Depending on the source of water for irrigation, different systems are adopted to lift water from the source and take it to the fields for irrigation. Some traditional methods deployed to lift water from the wells, lakes, and canals are: first, moat or pulley system; second, chain pump; third, dekli; fourth, lahat system or lever system. The traditional methods are cheaper but less efficient, involve human labor or use of cattle. First, moat or pulley system. This is a very simple system in which water is drawn from a well by using a bucket tied to a long rope attached to a pulley. Usually, this method is used when well is inside the field only. The farmer draws water and pours it directly into the field. Chain pump. Chain pump is used to lift water from distant stream, canal or pond. This system has two wheels, an upper wheel and a lower wheel. The lower wheel at the source of water and the upper wheel in the farm. There is a chain that passes between the two wheels. On the chains are hung a number of buckets. The farmer rotates the handle and makes the chain move. As the buckets pass, as the empty buckets pass over the stream, they get filled with water and then move up to the field. They pour water into the field and get empty and move to the other side of the chain. This cycle continues to lift water from the source and drops it into the field. Third, they clean. It is a very simple system used to draw water from a shallow well. The farmer just places a wooden log near the well. The wooden log rests on the fork structure with one long arm tied to a stone and the shorter arm tied to a bucket. The farmer lowers the empty bucket into the well to draw water. When the bucket gets filled, the farmer leaves the bucket. The filled bucket comes up as a wooden log lifts up the bucket due to the heavy stone tied on the other end. It acts like a log lever system. Bucket is emptied into the field and lowered again into the well. Fourth, Rahat lever system. In this system, the water is drawn continuously from a nearby well by using a number of buckets tied to a chain on a long wheel fixed on the top of a well. The lower end of the chain is inside the water of the well. The wheel is made to move with the help of a handle tied to a bull which circles around the well. As the bull moves in a circle, the wheel rotates the, over the well, lowering the buckets in the water. The filled up buckets keep coming up in a sequence as they come up the water and is poured into the channels made to take water to the field. Modern methods of irrigation. Some modern methods of irrigation are sprinkler system and drip irrigation system. Sprinkler system. It is a very good and efficient system if sufficient water is not available or if the field is uneven. In this system, water gets sprinkled like rain over the plants. From the source of water, like a well, a pump is connected to a system of pipes spread through the ground on the field. At intervals, there are perpendicular pipes with rotating nozzles. When a pump is switched on, the water flows in the main pipes with high pressure and comes out of the nozzles of the perpendicular pipes of the water. Water spreads all over through the rotating nozzle and gets sprinkled like rain over the whole crop. This method is highly suitable when the soil is sandy. Sandy soil has less water absorbing capacity, so the water needs to be added in small amounts spread over a large area. Sprinkler system saves a lot of water and is very economical. Drip irrigation system. In this system, water falls drop by drop at the base of the roots. In this, the system is very efficient in areas where storage of water as water is not wasted. It is an excellent way of watering food plants, gardens and trees as it provides water drop by drop enough for roots to absorb without spilling water at all. Protection from weeds. What are weeds? Weeds are undesirable plants that grow naturally along with the crops in the field. They need to be removed as they are harmful to the crops. Removal of weeds is called weeding. Methods of weed control. First, mechanical methods. Weeds can be removed by tilling or plowing the soil before sowing. Tilling helps in uprooting and killing of the weeds. Some weeds dry up and get mixed up with the soil. Very often, the weeds reappear after the crop has gone. In this case, weeds have to be physically removed by using a kurpi, uprooting by hand, or by cutting them very close to the ground. Chemical methods. Weeds can be killed by spraying certain chemicals called weedicides like 2,4-D. Chemicals are sprayed on the whole crop to kill the weeds. These chemicals do not damage the crops. The weedicides are strong chemicals and so need to be diluted with water and used in the required concentration. Weedicides are sprayed with the help of a sprayer on the crops before the flowering stage and seed formation of the main crop. The weedicides, being harmful chemicals, need to be handled with care by farmers. It is advised by that the farmers cover their nose and mouth with a cloth while spraying them in the field. Harvesting. Harvesting is the process of cutting and collecting the mature crops from the field. Harvesting includes activities like cutting, stacking, handling, threshing, cleaning, and harvesting, and winnowing. These activities can be done individually or with the help of a combined harvester, which can perform various activities simultaneously. It takes about 4 months for a cereal crop like wheat to mature, after which it is ready to harvest. Harvesting can be done manually or by machines called harvester. The grain or seeds of the crop are attached to the shaft and hence to obtain the seed grains from the harvest. They have to be separated from the shaft. The separation of shaft from the grains can be done by threshing or winnowing. First, threshing. It is a method of separating the hard grains from the softer shaft by beating or threshing. It is used to separate the grains of wheat and paddy from the stalks. Threshing can be done by holding the bundle of stalk in the hand and hitting them on the hard surface. In large farms, threshing is done with the help of bullocks or with a machine called thresher. Second, winnowing. Winnowing is the method of separating the harvest grains from the light chaff by blowing air. As husk is lighter, it is blown away and forms a heap some distance away. The grains are heavier and they fall straight onto the ground, forming a separate heap. Storage. Need for storage of food grains. Most food crops like wheat, rice, maize are harvested only once a year. This means they are available in plenty during a particular period. The best way to ensure that they can be obtained throughout the year is to store them safely. Storage, storage of food grains is not as simple as it appears because during storage, the food grains have to be protected from all possible causes of damage or loss. Factors responsible for damage of food grains during storage. Various factors like moisture, insects, rats, microorganisms like fungi and bacteria are responsible for damage of crop during storage. The freshly harvested grains contain high moisture content. The grains should be properly dried in the sun before drying in shade before they are stored. Drying prevents attack from insects, pests, and microorganisms like bacteria and fungi. Storage methods. The jute bags should be turned inside out, cleaned thoroughly, dried out in the sun, and fumigated before being used them for storage. Go down should be sprayed or fumigated with pesticides before storing the grains. Large-scale storage of grains is done by tall cylindrical structures called silos. A large number of gunny bags containing grains are stored in huge places called granaries. For storage of grains at home, dried neem leaves should be used. Neem is a natural insecticide. Food for animals. There are a number of animals that provide food to us. We get milk, eggs, meat, and seafood from the animals. Milk and milk products like cheese, paneer, and butter. Cows, buffaloes, goats, etc. Eggs, hens, and ducks. Meat, chicken, fish, camel, and a number of animals. Seafood, from sea animals like prawns, fish, oyster, mussel, etc. Animal husbandry. It is a branch of science that deals with the management and care of animals. This includes the rearing of domestic animals, their feeding, shelter, and proper care. Thank you.